Welcome. Thanks for joining me today. Today I'm going to give you a few tips on different levels that you could do for shoulder stand. I'm not going to take you through the full pose. I think that's important that you do that full pose with the instructor in a live class so that you can be safe all around. But these 3 variations I'm giving you can do anytime at your home practice, and they're great for you, and you can keep yourself safe. So what you're going to need is definitely need a block, and you're definitely going to need a blanket or a bolster, something that you get about 1 inch to 2 inches thick when you're laying on it. So the first pose we're going to do is called legs up the wall pose, and that's a great one. It just gets those feet up, gets the circulation going the opposite way. You may have to move your cats off your blankets. You're going to take one blanket, you're going to place it near the wall, and you're going to come right up next to the wall, get as close as you can, and then slowly roll yourself down. And then you're going to bring those legs up the wall. See if you can get your hips on that blanket. If your legs and your hamstrings are tight, you'll be a little bit further away. But if you can, see if you can get those hips all the way close to the baseboard. And then you're just going to lay here. And depending on how your low back's feeling, you can always bring that blanket up or put another pillow underneath so you're a little bit higher, getting those hips a little bit higher than your heart. And with this, you're just going to keep the legs semi-active. Breathe here. Your hands can either rest on your belly, or I tend to like to rest them out to the side because I usually have a cat around and I'm going to pet a cat. So I'm usually going to be in one of these positions. If you're going to stay here for a long time, so maybe 5, 6, 8 minutes, something like that, you might want to put a strap around your legs to keep them from falling open in case you really do end up relaxing into this pose. So you might want to think about that. Otherwise, you're just going to breathe here. Nice big breaths. You don't really have to worry about Ujjayi breath. If you do want to use the Ujjayi breath, it's going to be a little bit better. It's going to stimulate the thyroid a little bit, and that thyroid gland helps regulate our sleep patterns, our metabolism. So if you're having a hard time sleeping, sometimes just doing this in bed, as long as whoever's in bed with you doesn't mind, you having your legs up the wall while you're having a hard time sleeping, maybe read in this position for a little bit or just breathe. And then bringing those legs down to help you get back to sleep. So that's one, legs up the wall. To come out of it, just bend the knees, roll to one side, and then press yourself up. So there's one. The second option is using a block underneath your sacrum and giving that and having that with a little bit of support. So you're going to take your block, and then with that block, you're going to slide it right underneath your sacrum. So you're going to press into your heels, lift your hips. That sacrum is that little flat part between your booty and your low back. You're going to have that just right there. And then press in with the legs so the legs are still active. Press in with the elbows, draw the shoulder blades together onto the back. And then again, arms just rest by the side. With this one, you're going to slightly tuck the chin. So your chin comes slightly towards your chest. And then just pressing in, breathing here. You could stay here, supported bridge. This also helps a little bit. Going a little bit further, bend the knees one at a time, kind of see how that block feels, wiggle it around a little bit to make it comfortable, and then slowly starting to straighten the legs. The legs don't have to go totally straight. So you're just trying to stack those heels over your hips. Over time, as flexibility comes, straighten those legs, lengthen through them, spread through the toes, and breathing here. So again, chin slightly to the chest, that big Ujjayi breath, stimulating the thyroid, getting those legs a little well-deserved rest. Full breaths here. So this is supported shoulder stand. And notice how I'm kind of looking at the camera. Try not to do that while you're in this position. Try to actually look up to your toes. That's going to be best for your neck. And then to come down, bend the knees, 1 foot at a time, comes back to the floor. Pause here for a moment, always. Just kind of notice different sensations. And then unwind the shoulders. Press into the toes, lift the hips, slide the block out, and then let those hips come down. So that's supported shoulder stand on a block. We have another supported shoulder stand that you could do that's at the wall. So again, you're going to bring yourself back to the wall. And with this one, this is where you're going to want to have a blanket or a bolster, something you can get at least 1 inch to 2 inches thick, and then it's as long as your elbows so that you have some support there. So with this, you're going to place that close enough to the wall so when you're laying against the wall, your shoulders are going to be right on this area. So if I were to lay on this, I would want it to look something like this. So my shoulders are just right there at the edge. So that's where I want to be. So it might take you a little while to figure out your pose, but once you're there, you can always get there. And so when you're going to bring those legs up the wall again, adjust that blanket underneath so that your shoulders are right at that level, and then your neck goes over the top. And the reason is this is going to put a little bit more pressure on your shoulders, your upper back, but you don't want it to put pressure on your neck. You want to keep that natural curvature of your cervical spine up in your neck. So that's why you have this bolster, so that your neck can be supported by that blanket or bolster. And then once you're here, you're going to press into the wall with your feet. So you're just going to slightly bend your knees. And then you're going to press into the heels, lift the hips. And then from here, draw those shoulder blades underneath and kind of walk up onto the shoulders. And this could be your pose, right? So here's your pose today. Hands come to the low back. You're looking up to your knees. You're feeling a little more pressure on the back of the neck, on the back of the shoulders, into the elbows, pressing down. And then just breathing here. And then maybe you take one leg away, take a few breaths. Then the other leg, take a few breaths, breathing, nice full breaths. And then you could come down when you're ready. As you progress, you can roll those shoulders under a little bit more. I even like to interlink my fingers, really get up onto the outer edges of my shoulders. Chin is lifted here. Hands come to my low back, so my elbows point straight back, and then bring one leg at a time away. Now notice my elbows have to point toward the wall. If they point out toward the sides, this is what happens. If I don't get them underneath and I go to lift, I'm automatically just gonna roll down because I don't have support. So as you lift, you really have to get those elbows so they're pointing back. So you need a little bit of openness here. So that's where the wall's good. So you can even just hold here, work on opening the chest. You're still getting that benefit of the inversion here. So continue breathing here. And then maybe slowly over time, toes go up, you're supported, your hips are higher than your head, your toes are right over your head, breathing, and then coming back down, press back into that wall again, release the hands, unwind the shoulders, and then slowly lower those hips. And again, then you're here, legs up the wall, maybe this feels good and you stay here, resting your hands on your belly, breathing, and then to come out of it once again, bending the knees, roll over to the side, and pressing yourself up. So those are 3 different ways that you could help yourself with shoulder stand as you continue to grow your practice. So anytime that I say go to shoulder stand in practice, you have your options. I'll mention the 3 different options, but then you know right where you need to go as your practice grows and you continue on your journey. Thanks for joining me. Have a lovely day. See you next time. Namaste.